Now let's talk with Sister Joan. Sister Joan, it's wonderful to see you.
Thanks,
as
Dan.
always, we look forward to this every year.
Me too.
You've really done it again with this beautiful book, The Gift of Years, and I know we're going to talk a lot about it. But before we begin, I wonder if you'd share with us a little bit, how do these books come to you? And I know you spent some time in Ireland actually writing them, so just briefly give us a little background of how this happens. This is number 35. I think it's remarkable.
Yeah, I guess. I never write about anything that doesn't start in my heart. I really have to be committed to a subject. It has to be a subject that I care about in a most intense and personal way. So I don't write books. I write thoughts. I write ideas. I write life as I see it at that moment. My column is called From Where I Stand, and I mean it. All I'm trying to do is to evoke thought about things that thoughtful people are concerned with. Having said all that, Dan, I have to admit that this one is quite different. Believe it or not, I made up my mind to write this book when I was 45. Wow. And I can tell you why. I knew that before I died, somebody said to me the other day, did you write this because you're, you know, dealing with the problem of age yourself? And I stopped for a minute. I thought, what problem? Dealing with a problem? I know that everybody else in this country makes it a problem. It's not a problem for me. I knew at 45. Why? Because at that time, I was the prioress of a Benedictine monastery, and I watched our older sisters. I watched generation before me, generation before me, move into another stage of life, and I watched them become more beautiful as they grew, and I knew that they were being overlooked, their wisdom was being overlooked, and that someday, somehow, I would sit down when I thought I knew something about it myself, and try to compare what I was seeing happening in the elderly women religious in this country to what I saw being sold in the society.
You chose the title, The Gift of Years.
Yes.
I love the word gift.
Yes.
But Joan, what do you say to so many people who are suffering, older people who are sick, who are struggling and grieving with intense loss, who would say to God, take back your gift?
Okay. In the first place, that's the myth we live in. But the studies tell us very clearly now, demographically, that the average older person spends no more, or on the average, 3 months sick and bedridden before death. 3 months. Our image is that somehow or other, the AARP sends you a postcard and you begin to die on the spot. That's the beginning of a whole new stage of life. This gift has been denied over, and we don't have enough people who know the gift, and the ones that do, we think they're strange.
I love your quote, Dylan Thomas. Most of us, as we go toward the end, are raging against the light, but
yes.
You, Joan Chittister, I'm confident, Dan, don't you agree, that you're going to go throw yourself on the heart of God, luminous to the end.
Yes, Maribel Lesoir says,
French
I am luminous with age.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I love about your writing and about your ministry, is it's always has this innate curiosity, asking those challenging questions. It's always laden with compassion, and there's always a call to action there. And one of the messages of this book is certainly that this is not a time of diminishment in your later years.
No.
You see it as a time of freedom, as a time of opportunity. Do you want to speak to that a little bit
Oh,
more? Because
yeah,
it's a very inspirational read with this.
Nothing more dangerous on the planet than an old lady.
Now, what do you mean by that?
So what are you going to do with the last third of your life, Joan?
Well, I haven't even begun to plan it yet. I mean, it's just like, I'll do more of the same and I'll do it worse. You know, meaning, I hope I'll do it with even more honesty. I certainly will do it with more knowledge. I hope to do it with more understanding. I believe very strongly that well, go into any book list, look up aging. The first 50 books will tell you how to pretend you aren't. Mm-hmm. How not to look it, how not to think it, how not to be it, how not to walk it, how not to act it, and yet we come from whole civilizations of tribes and people who knew that wisdom resided in the elders, in the tribe, that they were the walking memory of the history. They were the understanding of understanding. We've lost that, and it shows.
You quote Nelson Mandela, who at age 89 created a group called the Elders. Jimmy Carter, Desmond Tutu,
Yes.
you know, statesmen and women to talk about global issues. Are they still meeting? I mean, that is just
still
wonderful.
meeting, and they have not only do they have a right, we should be calling on them.
That kind of wisdom.
They're free of the political process now.
Right.
Wherever it is, in whatever part of their own culture or society, they, God willing, have the humility to say, we did this in my era and it was wrong. What we see going on here now lacks this dimension. Why are we not bringing that conversation into the conversation? When you look at younger people in a society, they're so good, they're so wholesome. They're looking for heroes and guides and models, and we're failing them.
You talk about McNamara.
About what, Lydia?
Dan, go ahead.
I was going to say, you talk about the importance of generativity in the book,
Yeah,
and we've got about a minute left, I think. You want to address that a little bit, because it seems like a very important insight that you offer here.
Generativity is the ability to define and articulate what needs to be done now. You may not be able to do it, but if you are generating thought in the society, and that thought is worth having, someone will do it, or someone will stand up and say why it can't be done or shouldn't be done, and you're still generating life.
Erik Erikson's human development stages,
There you go.
right? Right.
There you go.
You know, I love your quote, Pablo Picasso, it takes a long time to grow young.
Yeah. I know, and it does, doesn't it? And that's what I mean about dangerous old people, who somehow or other can put down all the masks and the false norms and the social conventions and concoctions and say, here I am, as Martin Luther did, here I stand, I can do no other. This is who I am.
We are so grateful for who you
Thanks,
are. The book is called The Gift of Years, Growing Old Gracefully, and it truly is a gift. I know it's selling quite well. I think our viewers are going to really enjoy this.